So once again, I'm hearing comments about the Breitbart channel as being Nazi or being followed by Nazis, and this kind of accusation is really ugly, and I suppose it serves a purpose. It's how the establishment left writes history. It's how they report on opposition. It should be expected, but I personally find it very offensive as someone who happens to be a Jew. It really disturbs me. I would also note that much of the Breitbart staff and ownership happen to also be Jewish, that Andrew Breitbart himself was Jewish, that the Breitbart news network is, I would say, the most pro-Israel of all networks in the United States. They have an Israel bureau headed up by Aaron Klein, who's a very good reporter and who has done a lot of groundbreaking work in terms of covering issues in Israel, meeting with Palestinian Arabs and meeting with Hamas members and doing some amazing undercover work and reporting and all the rest, and bringing to light a lot of the conflict as we don't generally see it covered in the mainstream press, which tends to be lean toward anti-Israel stance. So these are the same people that are calling the Breitbart group Nazis. And the hypocrisy of it is obvious and is ugly. And I think, however, that given the seriousness of the charge, I just want to briefly comment on whether or not they have embraced an ideology, a zeitgeist that would be in any way comparable to Nazism. And I would suggest that the exact opposite is the case. This is a classic example of projection by the left. I mean, do you think that the Breitbart group and its followers are generally people who, as conservatives, they believe in limited government. They believe in proportional government and subsidiarity. In other words, government, the more stronger the government, the more local. I mean, it's the most anti-authoritarian philosophy you can imagine. And it's also probably the most American philosophy, generically speaking. Now, was Hitler in favor of limited government? You know, were the Nazis in favor of subsidiarity? Furthermore, you know, people that follow Breitbart and conservatives generally, we tend to be somewhat religious. We believe in God. We believe in Christ as Christians. You know, we believe that rights come from the creator of the universe and not the state. We believe that there is a code of morality and ethics that comes from God. It's not invented by people who have agendas. Do you think Hitler was pro-Christian? Now, certainly we know he was not pro-Jewish or pro-religion, pro-Judeo-Christian. I mean, really, you know, it's quite the opposite. He was a radical, paganistic atheist, if anything. If they could be pointed to any religion in Nazi Germany, it probably would have been what might be analogous to the so-called New Age movement in the United States. They believed in worshiping blood and soil, you know, the ground and the mysteries of the occult. You know, I mean, blood basically is an obsession with race. Now, I would argue that that's obviously the purview of the left. They're absolutely obsessed with race and with all the permutations of race and keeping race conflict alive, while their policies are damaging toward minorities, particularly African Americans. We could take an examination of that maybe at a future date, but they project this obsession onto conservatives as if we're obsessed with race. I think that conservatives are more oriented toward individual accomplishment, and I would argue that President Trump exemplifies that. He wants to make America great for all Americans, you know, and this is why he's doing well among African Americans and apparently a big uptick amongst Hispanics. So, you know, the left fears that more than anything, and they despise that. So they're going to call names. They're going to throw out these sort of projectiles. You know, they're, you know, as I say, they're projecting when they do so, because they're basically reinforcing their own authoritarian orientation onto us. They're the ones who are pro-nanny state. The government control. Government is the source of all rights. Government decides your health, your education, your welfare, all aspects of your life. That describes Nazism, by the way, or National Socialism, not conservatism, which tends to leave sovereign rights to the maximum degree in the hands of the individual. So who are the Nazis really? And I would suggest that we really have to be careful, however, to not let such charges lie. They're going to continue to push that. They'll push it after we're long gone when they write the history books. Fine, let them have their history books. Right now, let's deal with today, and let's stand up to this ugly lie. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody.